Welcome to the Ask Us Sports Podcast, where it's your boy Shane, the rated R podcast star, Miller, and your boy, the architect, EC Breaking Coast founder, Kembo J. Slice. And we got my man, the beast, Viggy Betts. How we doing today, guys? Ken, how was your week?
I think we could do a different WWE intro every show. I think we could do that. I like that much better.
Andy, how you doing today?
Doing great, Shane. College basketball's back. That makes me really, really happy. And, of course, the Braves are World Series champions.
Absolutely. Getting right into our segments, the Braves won the World Series, Andy. As a fan, what does that mean to you?
Oh, man, it is an absolute dream come true. I know you guys have experienced it multiple times, but for me, I have never experienced it. I was 6 years old when the Braves won in '95. I never claimed that as a world championship for me. So being able to see the Braves go to the World Series for the first time since 1999, that was a special, special moment right there that, frankly, I'll never forget, of course. And then on top of that, winning the World Series, I mean, good Lord, it was not supposed to happen this year. It just wasn't, with Acuna going down, Ozuna's problems, not having Soroka. I could go on and on and on. There was just so many detriments for the Braves this year that we could have easily given up and just waited for next year. Yeah, and it's just dream come true, man. It really is.
Absolutely, Ken. Do you think the Astros just fumbled the bag?
So they were playing it really sneaky, right? Because they kept they kept citing against the Red Sox and I forget who they played in the divisional round now, but when they were down the first couple of games, they were playing the first couple of games kind of even keel and weren't really doing a lot of the touch points that the radio and the experts, if you will, were noticing. Like, you didn't see Luis Garcia going for his hair at all. You didn't see these certain things happening. So I don't know, maybe the Astros just got under the microscope and couldn't do what they usually do. But I still don't think they were the better team. I think, it's all about who's hot come October. And typically who's hot come October is not the best team throughout the majority of the season. There was a period of time where the wild cards were really the ones with the most momentum. So you kind of saw that, the Red Sox surprised people, Atlanta surprised people. We almost had that as the World Series. So Atlanta was the better team. Best World Series MVP of all time, bar none. Absolute from zero to hero, Jorge Soler. Very big fan of his. So shout out to him. Very proud of him. My collection is thriving right now. So love to see that. Thank you, my man, Jorge. Kudos to them. He was a commendable replacement for Ronald Acuna.
I mean, he went from the dormant of the AL Central on July 30th or whenever we acquired him to, a contender in the National League East and an eventual World Series MVP.
Yeah, he was below the Mendoza line. I think like pretty much he might have even been traded below the Mendoza line. It was close. He was hovering around there the entire season.
I think he had 14 homers with us or something. So something to that effect. I don't have.
I don't even think he was traded for all that much either. I think you guys gave up.
No, I mean,
relief pitcher.
The only real notable player that the Braves traded to get any of these guys was Bryce Wilson, who went to Pittsburgh, and then obviously Pablo Sandoval, which he's basically nothing right now. We got him in the Rosario deal, and then Alex Jackson, who played a little bit with us at the major league level as a catcher, we got him for Adam Duvall. So, not trading big time prospects and getting these guys. Alex Anthopoulos has got to be the greatest MLB trade deadline of all time.
Casey
Because it ended up in a World Series championship, and you have four, not one or two guys. You got four guys at the deadline.
So this might be a little early, but if Freddie Freeman resigns and one of the outfielders resigns, is this a repeat team?
There's no such thing in baseball.
I don't want to say it's a repeat team because it's so hard. The last National League team to ever do that, the last National League team to do that was like the Big Red Machine in like the 70s.
Well, I think
So,
the last team to repeat in general was the Yankees, right?
Was the
Way
Yankees,
back in
yeah.
the day.
But I'm saying
Yeah,
that
it
was
just
the
doesn't
last
happen.
National League team.
It's not going to
was the
happen.
Big Red Machine. So it's been a long, long time. So, I mean, I want to put some perspective on that, but I think the Braves will be right there again. For sure. Even if Freddie somehow doesn't come back, I still think the Braves will be competitive. Obviously, we want him to come back, and I think he will come back. But you never know.
Ken, I want you to put on your magic hat here, and tell me what team Freddie Freeman signs with, whether it be the Braves or someone else.
I think he's going to go back. I mean, I haven't looked into it much at all, honestly, to see who he covets and who he wants. But I don't know. I think he might have that feeling of wanting to go back because, they just caught.
The better question is, I think, obviously we all want. I think even you guys want him back as a Brave because I think he's just he's personifies that guy who stays with one team his entire career. But if he does go somewhere else and doesn't stay in Atlanta, which would break my heart, but if he were to go to one organization, I think it would be the Angels.
Yeah, I was thinking Angels or like outside shot, maybe the Padres.
The reason I didn't say the Padres is because they're still paying Eric Hosmer's salary.
I was going to say Hosmer's going to be a blocker for that because he's so expensive and so terrible.
When the Angel, and I mean, obviously you'd have the designated hitter spot come in to play next year more than likely in the National League, but even with that, I think if he were to leave Atlanta, he would go to the West Coast where he's from. And I think the Angels, not that they need to spend any more money on hitting, they need to spend money on pitching. But how can you pass up a Freddie Freeman?
Yeah, I mean, that lineup would be insane, right? You've got Ohtani, you've got Trout.
Rendon when he's healthy, Trout.
Freeman, Walsh.
Walsh is a stud, yeah.
So, I mean, that would be sick. You guys will see on the script, I'm going to reorganize this a little bit just to keep baseball with baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But Andy sent me a thing today where the A's are actually going into a fire sale, which makes sense why Bob Melvin left. They've put all their stars on the trade block. Sean Manaea, Ramon Laureano, Matt Olson.
They're pulling a dynasty. They're pulling a dynasty Ken right now.
Yeah, they're doing a Billy Bean special, it looks like, where they're getting rid of all their stars that are going into ARB and just going to pick up minor leaguers and stuff.
Money ball.
I know the Red Sox might be interested in this. Who knows? But do you think Sean Manaea would be a good addition to that rotation?
Yeah, they also need first base help, so why don't they just go get Matt Olson? I mean, why not, right? Especially if he's going to go for cheap.
Yeah.
But I like Matt Olson. I kind of like what Chris Bassett offers, to be honest. I think he's very underrated. He's very undervalued. I'm looking him up right now as I talk, but do you know what Chris Bassett's numbers were last year? Because
they were insane. Because Andy always bet him last year.
Most people don't think he's very good, but he
was a big
per
guy.
106 WHIP, 12-4 record, 3.15 ERA on the season, and 27 starts. That's pretty good. And he missed some time when he got beamed in the head by a comebacker, and still came back in the very same season. So the guy's got balls. The guy's got guts. I like Chris Bassett. That's who I would like to see.
Okay. Do you think Matt Olson would probably fit pretty good in Fenway, right?
Yeah, and the Red Sox definitely need some first base help. As we've seen, the Kyle Schwarber experiment failed. He will not be around the Red Sox next year. I believe that's already confirmed.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen what we need to see from Bobby to consider Dalbec the next first baseman, so I don't think that's going to work. And, long term, your answer is not Travis Shaw. So there is a need at first base. However, we've seen what Heimblum is going to do, and that's sit on his hands. He'll patch it with something else. He's not going to pay Matt Olson.
Trade Tristan Cassis and
Yeah.
another fringe minor leaguer.
Cassis might be up. I wouldn't be shocked if he makes the
He did
opening
awesome. He honestly did awesome in the Olympics. He was like a big reason why Team USA got to the finals against Japan.
He's going to be that guy that people like every year you kind of go in and you see somebody get optioned and doesn't make the opening day roster, and you're like, oh, this guy's major league ready. And then typically you get 4, 5, 6 weeks in, people start clamoring for them. You get past the Rule 5 and everything like that. So I could see Tristan Cassis being that guy this year.
I just hope he's not the next Henry Owens.
Nobody's that. Nobody. That was. I
That
can't
was
even
so
find
bad.
the words for Henry Owens.
Andy, did you see?
I was just gonna say you probably don't want Sean Manaea in Boston. 1-3 in 4 games and 4 starts with a career 15.7 ERA. That can't work.
Yeah, he's a bum.
Andy, do you see what teams do you see getting in on the A's stars?
Well, the A's were
Yankees.
smart, obviously, to do this in the offseason because you have an assortment amount of teams that can go in and take interest. I think it's going to have to do with where these free agents end up, guys, because, I mean, this is a crowded free agent pool between, you got your shortstops, you got, Freddie Freeman at first base, you got some pitchers out there, and Max Scherzer, and
Verlander just had his
Verlander
workout too at a Yankee Stadium.
They're going to spend so much.
The free agency pool this year is huge. So for me, I think, their teams are going to want to see what they can spend, how much they can spend, and avoid trading prospects because they're going to have to give up prospects to get these guys because that's what Oakland wants. They're not going to have a $50 million payroll without getting a lot back in return. So
that's fair. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on this before we move on. Verlander did just have a workout at a Yankee facility, led by Yankees instructor. So it looks like the Yankees are going to be big on Verlander. Do we see the Yankees adding a lot of pitching this offseason? I know their shortstop's a big need too.
I could see them. I honestly think they're going to be in on this Oakland thing. I really do. I think the Yankees like doing that Dodgers thing where they get multiple returning assets and only give up one big prospect like Kyber Ruiz. I think that's what they're going to try and do. They're going to get like a Manaea and an think and they're going to give up.
I think if
they do still have Rizzo, right?
They do.
Rizzo's
and Olsen can play in the outfield,
I believe. So Rizzo's a free agent, I believe. So.
Okay. So yeah, Olsen could be in play.
So
yeah, but even still, I think Olsen. I don't know if he still can, but he used to play the outfield a little bit.
I mean, Matt Olson would be a perfect fit in that lineup as a left-handed bat and a left. That's what the Yankees are looking for from an offensive standpoint. Probably at least 2 bats. I would think Corey Seager and Matt Olson, if they can get those 2 bats, they would be looking really good for next year. I think they would have to add some pitching as well, but
they do need a shortstop.
They do need a shortstop.
I still think Correa is the call in New York.
Oh, what if they get Marcus Semien? That could be.
I think Semien goes back to Toronto. That's my guess.
Him and Robbie Ray.
Robbie
Ray.
This is a different topic. I think we could do a whole segment on free agent, and we should probably do this next week because free agency is starting on Sunday. So for our show next Tuesday, we should outline the top free agents and where our official prediction is where they're going. So maybe we should hold off on that and do a separate.
Very good, Andy. See, Shane, you're a mess, Shane.
Hey, okay. So we'll move into our next one. We got Odell Beckham Jr. He didn't sign, or he didn't get picked up off waivers. A lot of different teams in on him. Patriots dropped someone yesterday to make room on their 53-man roster to activate Jarrett Stidham from the PUP list. So I thought that OBJ could have been an option in New England, but probably not. My official guess is Seattle. He wants to play with Russ. So Russ is trending back. Looks like he'll be back
Does
soon.
he though?
So,
I mean,
he just got cleared for
He
activity
might
today.
play. He might play next week.
That surprises me. Seattle surprises me because he wants the target share. So you have DK Metcalf, you have Tyler Lockett as the two primary receivers. Where's he fitting right away?
He said he wants to be in a winning culture, and he loves Russ.
Cleveland is doing pretty well this year. What happened there?
He wants to be in a winning culture so he can set it on fire.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, you forgot that OBJ is kind of a drama queen. I think Baker's a good quarterback, and he had his dad just fucking kill him in the media, saying that Baker was like awful, and all Baker had to say was, "Well, Odell's still my friend. He hasn't texted me back yet after the game on Sunday." So
it's what that shows me is that it's not just an Odell thing. I think the entire family might lack maturity, but it's certainly true that Odell Beckham lacks maturity. He might be one of those guys that gets it at age 50 when he's long out of the NFL. It's unfortunate that he doesn't get it now because he's a supreme talent. But teams have to understand that when you're bringing in Odell Beckham, you're bringing in that headache. And is what you get on the field worth that headache? And it wasn't for Cleveland. He was a nothing in Cleveland. He hasn't been anything in a number of years. So I'm skeptical to see. I mean, I still think he could end up in Green Bay, and maybe Aaron Rodgers really likes him, and those two become best friends because nobody else can stand them. I don't know. Maybe. But
I think one of two teams for me makes perfect sense for him. Either of these two teams, one in each conference, New Orleans and the NFC, because you're lacking a Michael Thomas, so he could step
Michael
in.
Thomas is done for the year.
He's done for the year, exactly, and they're contenders for a playoff spot. I won't call it a Super Bowl, but they're contenders for a playoff spot. And then in the AFC, I'd go to New England Patriots. They need a wide receiver.
Do you want OBJ around Mac though?
I think.
They don't want him around Mac, but him and Bill do have a good relationship, though.
But I think he would in that culture. He talks about wanting a winning culture. The New England Patriots are a winning culture, and they're winning this year despite not having Tom Brady. I think they've adjusted to life without Tom Brady. Mac Jones is continuing to improve every week. That defense is looking, better and better each week.
Now you did bring up Mac Jones. I want to ask Ken a quick question about this past week. So a lot of people are calling Mac Jones a dirty player, Ken.
I know. Did you see that?
Apparently, he rolled up on Brian Burns' ankle. It didn't look dirty to me, but a lot of people are calling him a douche and saying he tried to injure Brian Burns and effectively did. What are your thoughts on this?
His comment today was that he just got leveled. He's on the ground. He knows he dropped the ball, and he was trying to tackle Brian Burns because he assumed that Brian Burns had the ball, which, I mean, you can take it at face value or you can't, but I tend to because he's a rookie, and typically, a rookie quarterback, I don't expect – I don't know if this had come from Tom Brady, I would probably have said it was intentional that he was trying to injure him. I don't know. I just tend to think the way Mac has played at times, he's made a lot of crazy mistakes in his head, and he's done things like throw the ball backwards, resulting in an automatic fumble. He's, you know what I mean? He's throwing the ball, he spikes the ball into the ground, but it was a backwards lateral, so it becomes a fumble. He makes these sort of mental lapses that you would expect to see out of a rookie quarterback. So to hear him get leveled and then just grab onto the guy's ankle and try to bring him to the ground, I mean, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. It did look extraordinarily sketchy to me because he was just kind of twisting his ankle, I guess. But he's also a big goofy oaf trying to bring down a defensive lineman in the NFL or a linebacker in the NFL. So I don't know. I think you got to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I completely understand why Matt Rule was pissed off and going at him because he's defending his players.
I love Mac. I don't see anything wrong with it. I thought it was a good play. To take out one of their best players out of the play. I'm sorry he got hurt, but honestly, heads up play. Fuck everyone that says he's a douche. I thought it was a good heads up play. Andy, I don't know if you've seen it, but do you have any comment on it?
I didn't see the play, so I don't really have a good comment on it. I will say this is he's a rookie in the NFL, and he's just trying to get better and better every game, and I just don't see.
I don't think his priority is
any intention as to why Mac Jones would be a dirty player. I mean, granted, I didn't see the player. I don't remember the play. It just that narrative doesn't make any sense to me.
I honestly was watching the game, and I didn't see it until everyone was tweeting about it. So.
Yeah, to Andy's point, like he's got an agenda, and his agenda is not to hurt the opposing linebacker or whatever position he plays. His agenda is to turn himself into an NFL quarterback, and you can tell he's taking it very seriously to the point where I doubt that that's what he would want to do at that given time.
Yeah, he's got a lot more to worry about other than trying to be malicious to a defender. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. I don't think so. I think it's exploding a little bit because Matt Rule's fired up, which I can understand. I mean, I get it as a head coach. I do get that part of it. But yeah, I don't.
Speaking of, interesting stuff going on in the NFL. We have the Bears last night that almost upset the Steelers and almost gave Andy an ulcer.
Almost gave me an ulcer.
Do you think that head ref had like a side bet on the Steelers? I feel like every call was going against the Bears. That
honest question though, because I was rooting for the Steelers heavy. I picked there's 9 people in my survivor pool. I rode the Steelers last week. I was very comfortable until the fourth quarter when, in typical Tomlin fashion, he did not adjust anything, and they found that hole in the seam, and Pittsburgh just could not stop a goddamn thing. It was scary.
Yeah, Fields looked awesome.
Yeah, Fields is figuring shit out, which is good to see. But as far as the refs go, they really did cost them. I mean, so let's say this. The Bears screwed themselves. The defensive line lined up twice in the neutral zone on the last drive. You can't do that. That's first and foremost. The one thing I think Bears fans do have a gripe about is the one flag on was it on Marsh when the ref kind of leaned into it?
Former Steeler.
Yeah.
When the ref leaned into it, that was a little sketchy.
And then he threw it with such vigor. And
I was not a fan of that one. I have to admit, I was not a fan of that one. But even on the last drive when Cassius Marsh sacked Roethlisberger and then kind of stared at the sidelines, I get it. You don't like taunting, but just don't do it. You're on the last play of the game. He's taking 15 seconds off the play clock doing this nonsense. Just get back to the huddle. I understand that it's kind of a Bush League call to call the taunting, and he didn't really say anything. He took 10 or 11 steps towards the sideline. Go back to the huddle. You just got activated today. I get you fired up, but we're on the last drive of the game.
And I get that he's a former Steeler as well. Right. He was Steelers with us last year. And
I will say that I was okay with Marsh getting cut there because he was such a dickhead when he got cut by the Patriots.
I have very little sympathy for the last drive where they were lined up in the neutral zone twice, and very little sympathy for the taunting call where he, put himself in that position for the ref to make the judgment. Don't put yourself in that position to leave it up to the ref.
Also, they scored too early.
Why don't you celebrate after?
Everybody on Twitter was coming at me saying, "Whoa, yeah, refs gave you the win." Okay, so you guys were down 20-6 to start the fourth quarter. You guys came back to take the lead, 27-26. So please tell me how the refs really impacted your opportunity to win when you guys were up by 1. I'm sorry you scored.
Two free first downs.
I'm sorry you scored with.
Oh no, I'm perfectly good with them scoring early because I needed Najee Harris to get me literally one more point.
Okay, but I'm talking about from a Bears fan perspective here.
Right.
Okay. You scored with 1 minute and 46 seconds left, and your guys lined up twice in the neutral zone on the final Steeler drive, giving them a first down, essentially. So, I'm sorry.
Don't
give me the gripe about how it was the refs that gave the Bears the win.
One thing we can all agree with, Muth is a fucking stud. Pat Freiermuth is a stud.
Oh, yeah. I like Pat a lot.
That kid is
He was
awesome.
awesome at Penn
Awesome
State.
football player.
Awesome at
In
Penn State.
he is perfect draft place. He is such a Steelers tight end. It's not even funny.
I feel like Ken, like after those 2 touchdowns, Ken became such a fan of Pat.
He was awesome. He's just awesome to watch. Like I hope Eric Ebron goes somewhere else.
The new Heath Miller of this generation.
Yeah, he is just such a Steeler. I think Ben loves him too because so that's my thing.
I mean, on that second touchdown throw, Ben had to have trusted him. Ben threw it to him in like double coverage.
There's a ridiculous amount of regression happening to Chase Claypool right now, and I don't know if it's just Ben keeping it so close to the huddle in terms of his throws because it's a lot of Freiermuth and a lot of Harris and a lot.
What he loves, Ken, is those quick passes. Those quick screens to Deontay Johnson and even James Washington. And I know apparently that there was an undisclosed injury for Claypool last night, and we know how. Ben doesn't really like to throw it down the field as much anymore, so that does kind of impact Claypool. But I think they need to get him more involved over the middle instead of just sending him out, streak routes down the field. I think if they did get him involved more as like a possession receiver in the middle of the field, I think he would be huge because how do you double team him?
I know. He's having an MRI on his toe from what I saw.
But
that's unfortunate.
Overall, though, I was very impressed with Fields. I thought he showed a lot of composure.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's exactly what Bears fans want to see moving forward. I mean, even with the loss. I mean,
I honestly think it comes down to Matt Nagy. I thought Matt Nagy play calling was awful. He needs to go. But I think Fields is definitely their guy.
Can I give a stat that this is how badly the Bears need a franchise quarterback? The Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passing quarterback ever.
Never?
Ever.
How is that possible?
Ever.
Even Jay
quarterbacks
sleep their way to 5,000 yards now.
Nope. Never have had a 4,000-yard passer since the 1920s.
Yeah, it wasn't even football back then.
Yeah, that's honestly super surprising to me because I would have thought Cutler would have thrown for 5K.
He threw for he said he didn't even throw for 4. Well, Cutler was hurt a lot in Chicago. He definitely did that in Denver.
But moving on to our last quick hits segment, I want to touch on Dame Lillard a little bit. This season he's been pretty off. It's not been good. I think he's averaging just over 20 points a game. He doesn't seem like the same guy. Doesn't have the same intensity. Andy, what's going on with Dame in Portland?
He's not making shots, man. I mean, that's the problem. I saw a stat the other day where he had as many points as he did as many shots, and that's kind of the Russell Westbrook stat that we saw last year. He's averaging 10 fewer points per game this year from 28 to 18. And he is averaging 1 more assist, but it just doesn't seem right. I think there is the league rule that changed from last year and I think it's affecting a couple guys, Trae Young, James Harden, they're trying to limit these ticky-tack fouls, right? That are sending players to the free throw line. They were sending free throws to the line fewer this year. And I think that's really impacting some players. And I'm not so sure if it's impacting Damian Lillard, but there is something to say that he's averaging 10 fewer points per game to start the season. And it's a long season. So I expect Damian Lillard to really find it. But it's just, and I'll talk about it in the Viggy Bet segment, fade Portland on the road. Portland does much better at home. They're a 500 team, but do not bet them on the road.
Absolutely. Portland as a whole just seems off this year. Ken, do you think Dame Lillard can turn this around?
I mean, do you think it as a whole has anything to do with the dark storm cloud over the franchise now from those kind of what was that guy's name? The owner?
Oh, yeah, the
general manager, I thought it was.
That's what I was thinking. Could it just be a dark cloud over the entire franchise, and Lillard is affected by that? Maybe he's frustrated and cashed out and is not giving it his all. Maybe he doesn't want to be there. It's pretty. I think he's been pretty openly clear that he wouldn't mind being traded out of Portland. And we kind of saw like sort of a shell of what James Harden typically is when he wanted out of Houston. So it could be one of those situations where he's just kind of.
Yeah, you had Harden playing in a fat suit in Houston.
Right. So. Yeah. Maybe Lillard's not taking it quite that far. He's not quite as deranged, but he's still kind of, lackadaisical, maybe is the right word. Not working on his shot. Just kind of, going through the motions.
I mean, there were a lot of rumors last year, in the off season, during the trial for Team USA, also that he had to own.
That's got to be like an all-time moment, though, right? That's like something I'm gonna look back on when I'm 60, and like, did I really watch James Harden play in a fat suit in Houston? Because there's no way that it wasn't a fat suit. Because he literally goes from being like looking like someone's uncle at a barbecue in Houston. To shredded in New Jersey.
Okay, so we're gonna get way off topic here, but you know how he pulled that off? Because James Harden has always been the guy where you look at him and you're like, he might be fat, but you never see him with his shirt off, or you never see him with in just a tank top. He's always in his basketball jersey, but you look at him, he is the fattest skinny guy I've ever seen.
But for real,
so he could pull off that suit.
But look at his first game in Brooklyn, he was shredded. He was super skinny. And it was like people were like, whoa, he was fat a week ago.
He got on a flight and dropped 30 pounds.
That's gotta be like the funniest shit. That's like some shit I would tell my kids. Like, yeah, did you ever watch someone play in a fat suit?
Shane, you gotta get instant replay going on the Ask, so just overlay it, because I'm looking at the best side by side of him.
Yeah,
Houston, looking fit, looking trim, and then Cam looks like he ate 3 or 4 basketballs in Houston. Just Google James Harden fat suit. It's the top picture. It's literally.
It is so funny that he pulled that off, and no one in Houston said anything to him. They just let him play in a fat suit.
He looks like he ate James Harden.
Andy, if I don't even know what question to ask here. What are your thoughts about James Harden?
Prep for the show, Shane?
Well, we weren't really talking. We were talking about James Harden.
No, I did prep, but this is hilarious. I want to know your thoughts. James Harden in a fat suit. What is your thoughts here?
I mean, this is going back towards the last season, but I mean, what can you say?
Is he really deranged like Ken thinks?
Obviously,
there's a YouTube channel that's the one who figured this out. He went through.
He did anything possible to get out of Houston.
Hey, you got to like the hustle, right?
I mean, I respect
what you got to do. I respect it. I definitely respect it. Playing a fat suit. He must have died in it. You obviously have to be in good shape to play in a fat suit. Because I'm a big guy, and I would die playing 30 minutes.
What were his stats for that game? I'm trying to find it. I feel like that would be.
I just think it's like wearing a fat suit to deliberately tank your own trade value is just such a psychopath move. This guy is.
Can you imagine? So, Ken, you and I have been in locker rooms before. Can you imagine the shit that he probably got from KD for playing in a fat suit to get onto the Brooklyn Nets?
Oh yeah, or just Kyrie Irving scoffing.
Maybe that's what Ben Simmons needs to do to get traded.
What about? Oh, we could talk about Ben Simmons.
No, Doc Rivers isn't getting rid of Ben Simmons. If Ben Simmons wore a fat suit.
Oh yeah, you know what? That would be the ultimate revenge.
Doc Rivers is just going to say you're suspended the rest of the season.
I'm just going to say that would be the ultimate revenge for Boston, for Doc Rivers just shipping Simmons up to Boston.
No, if it's for Jaylen Brown though. If there's any way that Philadelphia would be like, ooh, Marcus Smart, I would sign that yesterday though.
Oh yeah.
So Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart despise each other, and that's why the Celtics don't work.
Do you really think that?
It's true. Yeah, they hate each other.
Why?
I don't know, but it's very true. It's pretty much well known
Really?
amongst local media up here. They don't have a good relationship. And then like they asked Brad Stevens about it, and Brad was like, "Well, Tatum and Marcus went out to breakfast the other day." Well, it's like, well, asshole, Tatum and Marcus don't have the issue. It's Jalen and Marcus that have the issue together. So it's like, I don't know. He dodges the questions, and it doesn't seem like it's a Tatum issue, which is why they're talking about whether they're gonna. They're not. No one's talking about trading Tatum. They're talking like the rumors up here are they going to trade Jalen or are they going to trade Smart? Because the rift is between Jalen and Smart. Like they don't. Like Smart came out the other night and was like, "Oh, those two guys don't pass it," and everybody's like, "Okay, asshole, right message, wrong message giver."
Yeah,
I feel like they need to acquire defense though.
So they're all kind of worried about getting their own. Frankly, I still would like to trade Smart, but I do think the best path forward to continue. So this is going to sound weird, but I think the best path forward for this core to continue to try to push is to trade Jaylen Brown. Because I just don't think – I think if you trade Marcus Smart, you still are going to have the same lingering issues. I kind of think Jaylen Brown is I don't think he meshes well with other talent. That might be a weird take. But that's
so
kind of
maybe like he's a younger James Harden.
I
Because
think
Harden was
Jaylen
like that in OKC.
I think Jaylen Brown could be one of the best. This also is going to sound like a slight against him, and it's not meant to. I think he could be an elite sixth man because he's going to be playing with a lot of people that aren't up to his skill set. Whereas when you're playing with people on his skill set, he doesn't make people around him much better. Whereas I think Marcus and Tatum have a much better relationship than what Tatum and Jalen do. I don't think Tatum and Jalen have a bad relationship the same way Marcus and Jalen have a bad relationship, if that makes sense. I think the answer to all of this and what Stevens eventually wants to do is take this core, rip Jaylen Brown out of it, and put Bradley Beal in it. I think that's what he wants to do. And I think this time I could see that being the Celtics unit this time next year. It's just a matter of what do they do with Jaylen Brown.
No, yeah, that definitely makes sense. I guess I would be okay with Ben Simmons coming as long as he's not trying to like shoot. Does that make sense?
But he's scared to. So I think it works out well. He's rattled. He's like Markelle Fultz with his shot. He's scared and it's broken. But I think he can pass well, and he's got handles, and he plays really good defense. So him and Smart as a backcourt is a really good defensive unit. The issue is that trading Jaylen Brown for Ben Simmons kind of sounds gross, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But I mean,
But if you can trade Jaylen Brown and get Ben Simmons, and then in the offseason sign Bradley Beal because he is a free agent, then you have Tatum, Smart, Beal, and Simmons, and that might be a core that Tatum's like, hey, I love it here. You know what I mean? And if that's the case and it motivates him, that's what's most important.
What are the chances that
I am the Celtics fan that has completely given up on the fact that this core can win. This core is not winning a title together. I used to PC. Not to do the hobby thing right now, but I used to PC Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I've backed way off of that because I know for a fact that they will never hoist a trophy together in the NBA.
What are the chances that Brad Stevens pulls off the ultimate heist, trades Jaylen Brown to Philly for like Ben Simmons and Seth Curry?
It's probably just going to be Simmons. There's no way they're going to throw Curry in there. Do
you think that would be like the ultimate heist though? I think getting Simmons and Curry would be insane.
For Smart?
No, for Brown.
Oh, for yeah. I mean, well, if he does it for Smart, I think it's a ridiculous heist. I'd probably throw in our first to forget Simmons with Smart. But see, that's the thing though. I just think I get the way you're like. I think the issue is. It sounds better trading Smart, but I think long term it might be better to trade Brown.
I just want to say that I also, not to pat myself on the back, I do that a lot, but I did call Tyrese Maxey being like a potential all-star if he got starting minutes, and he's been fantastic for the Sixers.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sixers have had a lot of
He's really
COVID
good.
issues, and I mean, they're keeping pace with the Bucks right now on TNT.
Don't let that distract you from the fact that TJ Warren is coming back. News on TJ Warren.
Oh my God, Ken, the big TJ Warren guy.
But also, yeah, I didn't. I kind of only invested in I only invested in Ja Morant and LaMelo Ball this season, going into the season, and I'm really glad I did because LaMelo Ball is actually really good.
Oh, he's so good.
LaMelo Ball is going to be good. LaMelo Ball is. It's kind of funny because we all knew Lonzo was a joke, and the thing is, LeVar was just ahead of himself. If LeVar did this when LaMelo was coming into the league, you couldn't make fun of him because he'd be right. LaMelo's ridiculously good. He's awesome.
And I do want to say that out of this rookie class, the best far and away rookie in this class is Scotty Barnes for Toronto. That guy is fucking amazing. He's a double-double machine. He's scoring 20-plus. He's the reason the Raptors stayed in it when Pascal was hurt.
Although Evan Mobley is off to a good start. I'm looking at the rookie numbers now.
Mobley's good, but I think Barnes is far and away the best, and I think he leads the Raptors to possibly a deep playoff run. I like him that much. I think he's that good. Andy, because you're the Raptors fan, what are your thoughts on Barnes? You're muted as well. You need to unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself.
Andy, you're muted.
My bad.
Unmute you.
My bad. Yeah, no, coming into this season, I really didn't know what to expect, to be honest with you. I mean, I wasn't really sure what we were going to get out of him at the beginning.
Yeah, you were upset they didn't take Suggs.
Yeah, I was. I wanted Suggs. I wanted Jalen Suggs. And, I mean, here comes, Scotty Barnes averaging, he's averaging 16.5 points per game, but he's averaging nearly 9 rebounds a game. So, he's putting up stats. He's really a force with that lineup when you have, Pascal back is a good defender and Fred VanVleet, and he's, the veteran point guard in this sense. So, Toronto, I think, is a young team that I think can grow throughout the season. I think they're, in the 8th seed right now in the Eastern Conference. So, I mean, they've got some work to do. But, I mean, considering where we were last year, getting rid of Lowry and whatnot, it was a rebuild that maybe could be expedited a little bit. You never know in the Eastern Conference, you can always sneak in as a 7 or 8 seed if you're sub 500 even. So,
yeah, absolutely. I'm just excited about him. He's an FSU guy. Him and Patrick Williams were two guys I was super big on. Patrick Williams obviously being out for the rest of the year hurts the Bulls, but the Bulls have been great. I think next week we'll do like a whole NBA segment so we can get, it's been a couple weeks. We can dive deep into the NBA. But let's move on to Biggie Bets, where actually I have a bet I'd like to throw in there as well after Andy's done with his.
Absolutely. So 2 games have wrapped up on my betting slate tonight. I'll take you through it. 4 college basketball plays and 1 NBA play. First 2 plays, Siena plus 19.5 looked really, really good for about 30 minutes out of the 40. They ended up losing by 27, I believe, unfortunately, to St. Bonaventure. So that did not hit. But Kansas -4 against Michigan State. Kansas just won by 13. So that was a great way to start the season. So ultimately 1-1 and down a 1/10 of a unit between those 2 plays. We have Cleveland State plus 15.5 against BYU. I really, really like the Vikings this year from Cleveland State. They brought back a lot of their whole entire team from last year. They started 0-3, but then they finished on an 18-7 run last season. So they're a veteran team that can make waves this season, and BYU has lost a couple of their top starters, so I really like Cleveland State. I don't know about maybe winning outright. I think they could, but definitely to cover 15.5. And then going to the NBA, the Clippers -3 As we talked about against Portland, you faded Portland against the spread on the road. They're not a good team on the road, and I believe both these teams have played each other twice already, and each team dominated at home. So Clippers are at home tonight, getting the short -3 number, so rolling with that at even money. You're on mute.
Muted. What a boob.
Mute. Shane's muted.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying Pat Fryermuth. I was like, what?
Yeah, Muth.
So those are great plays from Andy. I've got 2 plays myself tonight. My first play is Giannis over 39.5 points and rebounds. They're currently at the end of the third, and he's at 30 combined, 22 points, 8 rebounds. So I think that's going to hit, especially since the game's tied 91-91. I think he's going to see a good amount of minutes in the fourth. And then my second play is Trae Young to get a double-double against Utah. And that's at like plus 250. So I placed a unit on it. I think that's a good play. I think he sleepwalks his way to a double-double tonight against the Jazz. They've been playing super good. John Collins has been amazing. Since John Collins has been playing really good the last week, Trae Young's gotten like 5 double-doubles in the past week. So I'm super excited. I think those are 2 really solid plays. Those are my only plays for tonight. Maybe I'll sprinkle in something on a late college game. But
I would be remiss to, I omitted Duke -1 also. I did not say that. Duke -1 against Kentucky.
Yeah, you got a great line on that.
I did. I got it last night, by the way. Mike Krzyzewski, I hammered that as soon as I saw it last night. Coach K's Duke teams are 39-2 all time in season openers, including 21 wins in a row. And I mean, you got the number 1 recruit coming to play tonight. And I just think Kentucky gets off to a slow start. I'm not sure if CJ Frederick's going to play. He's the Iowa transfer coming over to Kentucky as well. So I just think that Duke comes out motivated. Coach K's last year, they have a good amount of depth on their team. I think they start out hot. And Duke, I think that line rose to -3 throughout the afternoon, Shane. So I got
so -3 was what I saw a lot of people getting it at.
Yeah.
But no, it's super good. Those are good plays. I kind of stayed away from the college game today just because I didn't know what to expect from any of the teams. I'll probably stay away for a couple more days until I can see what teams are, really the cream of the crop, and then figure it out from there. But no, great plays. Ken, ECBC, what do we got going on, brother?
Actually, not a whole heck of a lot, to be honest with you, because we are in this weird fugue state ground where Panini and Topps aren't releasing anything, and actually aren't releasing much this month at all, to be honest with you. We look forward to Mosaic Football. That's going to be the biggest release of the year, and it comes right before Christmas, which is not a great time. So we'll see, but we'll definitely be doing it, a lot of it. And other than that, we're just kind of, I personally have just been doing some light buying of some of my guys, buying low on some Derrick Henry from the injury, and just kind of sputtering around because there's not much new product out there on the horizon. Been a lot of feasting upon the drama of Twitter. That's been a nice, fun thing to read about. Been a distraction. I think with the lack of releases, people are just kind of turning on each other and fighting. So it's just a weird state at the moment because there's no new product coming out. So we're breaking some other sort of not old product, but product that's released in the last couple of months. We just did Bowman Chrome last week, and that was good as usual. Shipping out just in the minute here. We did our Twitter giveaway, which was won by, not to mess up his name, it was won by I forget now. Oh, Wavy Colin Pax. Wavy Colin Pax. Congrats, my dude. Thanks for the follow. He followed Ask Us Sports as well. So he won the illustration lot of 7. Good man. And other than that,
Congratulations, Wavy.
Yes. What?
Oh, I was just saying congrats.
Oh, I thought you were asking me a question. But yeah, no, congrats to him. Shipping out with the last break stuff. So going out the next couple days. And yeah, other than that, not much going on. We look forward to something to continue stimulating us card degenerates. Panini and Topps are going to make Mosaic very, very popular by the fact that there's no real football releases between now and then. So people are going to be clawing at it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same right now. Not really much going on. I've just been picking up Optic Baseball to fill my void. Getting some really cheap Alex Verdugo, low-numbered stuff. I really like it. Ken's not a fan, but Ken, trust me.
I like Optic more than the other unlicensed stuff.
Like the Dragon scale is so cool, man. Like you gotta get one and just look at it. It's so cool.
Chronicles Baseball came out. I always liked that, but I don't think other people do as much.
I like it because it's got Spectra in it.
It's got a lot of cool stuff in it. I remember getting a couple Mosaics last year, but that kind of lost its luster with the Mosaic dedicated release, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, when Mosaic football comes out, people are going to go crazy because there hasn't been a real NFL release. It'll be about 2 months when it's coming out to the end of December.
Honestly, between Absolute and
Origins.
Mosaic, all there is Spectra, and Spectra is like $1,500 a box.
Yeah, for like 7 cards, right?
Other than Spectra, it's like Illusions, and Illusions is junk. So I don't know, not a lot to look forward to for the short term.
Yeah. Which brings us into our next segment, which is our NFL Week 5 Pick'em. We've got, or not Week 5. It's not Week 5. It's Week 10. I did this last week because I forgot
do this every week because it says 5 every time.
So our current standings are, you can see them on the screen, but for those of you listening, we've got Ken at 85-51. He went 7-7 last week. We've got Andy at 82-54, 3 games back. He went 8-6 last week. He was the big winner of the week. And then we have me pulling up the rear, 79-57, 6 games back. I went 7-7 as well. We're looking to turn it around this week. We're looking to catch up to Ken.
Andy did. He narrowed
Andy, you're
it.
muted, pal.
Andy narrowed it.
I was going to say, how the hell did I go 8-6 this past week? I thought I literally thought
you took a team that you took the Giants.
I did take the Giants. That's right. I completely forgot about that. I completely forgot about my pick'em last week. Considering I took Raiders -3 over the weekend, I completely forgot about my pick'em picks.
But that leads us into our first game, Ravens at Dolphins. I'll start this one off. I'm going to take the Ravens. I think Tua is going to be out again this week. Even though the Dolphins have played pretty good, I'm going to take the Ravens. Andy, where are you leaning on this one?
Yeah, and I'm going with the Ravens too. I think this is going to be their first convincing win of the season. I think all of their wins this season have come by less than a touchdown. I want to say they've come by almost less than a field goal or less this season. So all their wins have been close. I believe this is going to be the game where everything clicks for them. Everything clicks for their running game. Everything clicks for Lamar Jackson, their defense. I think the line is 7.5 for this game. I think I'm very much considering if I bet at all because I'm really bad at betting in the NFL. So anything I say from an NFL perspective right now, you might want to fade me, but I just really feel like that the Ravens are just going to put it all together this Thursday.
The Ravens are 1-5 as favorites against the spread.
Yeah, I just think the Ravens come out and they just they're gangbusters this weekend. I think they win by at least 2 touchdowns.
Ken, where are you leaning on this one?
I will take the Ravens as well. I have about 47 hours to decide if Baltimore will be my survivor pick. It is between them and one other team. I don't like to pick road games, especially Thursday night road games, but Miami's not very good, and they're missing Tua likely. I really would be surprised if Baltimore lost this one. Maybe it's possible, but they should take care of business.
Then we have a what I would think might be a lackluster matchup, the Saints at the Titans. Ken, do you think the Titans righted the ship last week and are going to be able to go in and take out the Saints?
I think the trend of the Saints is that they're pretty obvious. When they're an underdog and they're expected to lose, they typically play well. When they're expected to win and people pick them, they usually flop. Typically, so this would be a game that they could upset, but they have to travel into Tennessee. Tennessee's hot. They're the top team in the AFC right now. They showed really what they could do against the Rams, in my opinion. And they did it without Derrick Henry. They did it with a combination of Deontay Foreman and Adrian Peterson with McNichols mixing in. If they continue to get elevated play from A.J. Brown and can get Julio Jones involved, they should continue to not just stay above water, but continue to take care of business in the AFC. And if Henry comes back later on, look out. So this could be a game I could see the Saints win. I would not be surprised if we come back here next week and I get this one wrong, but I am going to go with the Titans still.
Yeah, I'm also taking the Titans here. I think their defense looks strong. I think Ryan Tannehill is really going to start picking it up with the Derrick Henry absence. I think we're going to see Julio be more healthy, A.J. Brown get more involved. I'm excited to see them kind of blow off the Saints this week. Andy, where are you on this one?
Yeah, look at Tennessee. Their last 3 games specifically, their scoring defense, they're ranked 8th in the NFL in scoring defense in their last 3 games. Just over 16 points per game they've given up on defense. So they're really kind of just saying, hey, you know what, Derrick Henry, we love you, but we've gotten some criticism on the defensive side. We're really trying to prove that we're a great defense, and we don't need the offense to score 40 points, and that's frankly not going to happen with this offense. But the defense understands that, the defense has a little pride, against Buffalo and now against Kansas City and now against the Rams. They're playing really well right now. And again, without Jameis Winston for the Saints, without Michael Thomas still, I just don't have a lot of faith in that Saints offense to go in and get a road victory with Tennessee. So I am taking the Titans.
Man, it's too bad Henry got hurt because this team is so built for the playoffs with the way that defense is playing and that the way the defense plays against top tier teams.
I mean, there's a chance Henry's back for the postseason, so we'll see.
They could be a really mean team.
From a fantasy standpoint, he's done for the year, more than likely for everybody. But for the Titans, he may actually be back in the postseason. And if they have the number 1 seed, if they can keep this going between Adrian Peterson and Julio Jones, where if they were together in 2012, what a team would that be? But they're still playing really well together in 2021. So,
yeah, moving on, we've got the Bills going to the Jets. The Bills got huge upset against the Jags. Complete letdown. Josh Allen played like crap. I think the Bills still win.
Not the defender Josh Allen, Shane. The quarterback.
He played great.
The quarterback. I'm going with the Bills. I think this is a huge rebound game. The Jets can't stop a cold. I really like the Bills. Ken, where are you on this one?
The expression is they can't catch a cold. They can't stop a cold.
Yeah, they can't stop COVID.
That's awesome. The Bills, this should be a get-right game. If they lose back-to-back to the Jaguars and the Jets, you can kiss your season goodbye because you're a joke. So that's not going to happen. If it does, the Patriots are going to win that division. So don't let it happen.
You know what's going to happen is that the Bills are going to lose this week, and they're going to say the middle of the season they lost to the Jaguars. Actually, they lost to Tennessee, but they lost. That's not a shameful loss, but they lost to Jacksonville and the Jets and win the Super Bowl. Not going to happen. I'm picking the Bills to win this game, but what a storyline that would be if they actually lost this week and then ended up winning the Super Bowl.
Before we go any further, who was on the stupid Manning thing? Who's cursed?
Did they have it last night? I couldn't find it on TV.
Oh, is there some kind of curse that's going around now? Is that what they're
I don't think it didn't happen last night because ESPN2 had boxing on.
Oh, so there is no curse this week. So, Andy, we were saying, I think you were away for when me and Shane were talking about it, but there was like Tampa Bay, like Tom Brady was on it and he lost to who did Tampa Bay lose?
The Saints.
The Saints. So, and then the next one up was Josh Allen was on it, and his next game was the Jaguars. So me and Shane are like, okay, well, this is the test. If this happens, then the curse is real. So the curse is 150% real now. The Jaguars beat the Bills. It's real.
Yep. It happened. So there was no Monday with the Mannings this week. Hopefully, though, Patrick Mahomes goes on it. I want to see how bad his season could get.
Or it's like a reversal of fortune somehow.
I also want to mention that one of the bets that I said in Viggy Bets, which was the Giannis over 39.5 points in rebounds, just hit. So that was a cash.
Ding.
Can I ask a question? Who's on the cover of Madden this year? Is it Patty? Because he is having that type of season.
That's Brady and Mahomes.
Oh, see there. Okay, so
yeah,
Brady's been on it before. Didn't he tear his ACL the year he was on it?
No.
So
the year he was on it. The year he was on it, he won MVP.
I thought the Madden curse was over.
I don't know. Patty's not having a good season, so I
don't
know how you only score 13 against Green Bay. That's kind of wild.
But going into our next week, we've got the Lions at the Steelers. This feels like a trap game to me.
Shut up, Shane. No, it's not.
The Lions are their competition. While I do love Najee Harris, I think he is the best player from this past draft class. He's a tank. He's a do it all back. The Steelers are finally using him as such. But this feels like a trap game. I'm not going to make my pick yet. I'm going to let our resident Steelers fan talk about the game and see what his thoughts are.
Where's Bagels been since the Steelers beat the Browns? I haven't seen him at all.
We ruined him.
Huh?
We ruined him.
He's
Andy,
too shameful.
What are your thoughts on this game?
You can't underestimate the Lions because they do have a lot of heart. And if you do underestimate them, then they're going to be the team that knocks you off. So I don't see it happening this week. I think the Steelers were just playing really well right now on all three phases of the football, really. And it finally took them a quarter of the season to realize that we have this guy named Najee Harris. He's a young guy. He's very talented, and he can run the football. And once we started doing that, we're 4-0 since the 1-3 start. So, and I've said it all offseason, get that man the football, not just in the passing game, but let's run the football. Let's take the pressure off Ben and the offensive line with 4 rookies on it. So once we've started doing that, it's made a world of a difference, and I think we continue doing that. And we go to 6-3 before the schedule for the Steelers starts to toughen up.
For sure. Ken, are you with the Steelers on this one, or do you think this is also a trap game?
I think it has trap game qualities. It's a short week for the Steelers. It's coming off a bye for the Lions. The Lions have been playing teams tough. The Steelers have been playing down to their competition. But the Lions also do like to lose games, and their defense is really bad. And Najee Harris is saving the Steelers from being a basement team in the AFC North. So, I'm going to go with the Steelers here. I think the biggest thing keeping it from being a trap game, even though it is a short week for the Steelers, they don't have to go anywhere. They're sticking right where they are, right at home. So, they came off a Monday nighter. That they'll be back at practice today, and I don't think they'll be hurt from the short week, so to speak. How much time do you really need to prepare for Jared Goff anyway? So I'll take the Steelers.
Yeah, I'm going with the Steelers too. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick has probably been, I would say, top 3 defensive players in the league this season. He makes a whole world of a difference on that defense. I think without Minkah Fitzpatrick, that defense is very average. I think you see a way different Steelers team. I saw Minkah really make Justin Fields have to adjust last night, forced him into a couple bad throws, forced him into some bad decisions. So I think Minkah's definitely undervalued there. I think there's a good chance he might have a shot at Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, I think the guy who's going to win Defensive Player of the Year is on the Steelers, but it's TJ Watt.
Yeah.
He had another beast game last night.
He is so
he's
disruptive.
Unbelievable right now. And
he's just as good as his brother.
The only thing I would like to say here is that the Bears did find a blueprint to attack the Steelers' defense, and that was going right up the seam in the slot.
They did not
left or right. That is where Justin Fields had success in the passing game last night, was right up the seam. So that is something we really need to see improvement on, because any team could exploit that. Jared Goff could exploit that. So that's something I do want to see improvement on. Even because those are quick passes, that's something that, the Steelers can't really adjust to unless you're tightening things up in the secondary, because the Steelers can't get to the quarterback quick enough on those seam routes. So just an FYI out there for anybody who was watching last night.
Yeah.
No, definitely understand. Definitely get that. Definitely good analysis. But moving on, we've got the Jags going to Indianapolis. The Colts can really do some damage here. They've done well. Jonathan Taylor's looked good. Michael Pittman looks like a number 1 receiver. But my pick might surprise you, might not surprise you. Coming off a huge win against the Bills, I'm taking the Jags. I think this defense is kind of gelling. I like the way Josh Allen played. I think Trevor Lawrence needs to get it together, but I think this is the game he figures it out. The Colts defense isn't world beaters. I think Trevor Lawrence will be able to figure it out here. Give me the Jags. Andy's shaking your head. What's going on? What are your thoughts?
I don't disagree with you if the game was in Jacksonville. If the game was in Jacksonville, those are the kind of games that I always see happening against divisional opponents in Jacksonville. We saw it against Buffalo, so I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but with the game being in Indianapolis, I just don't see a repeat of Jacksonville having that home field momentum and the crowd being on their side and everything. I see Jonathan Taylor getting it done early on and kind of taking the will out of Jacksonville and just kind of, just cementing his footprint in that game. So I see Indianapolis getting it done.
Yeah, I think Shane's way off here. I think it's one of those ones where you're kind of what these bad teams do is they have these games where they blow up and they look really good, and then they never follow it up. We just saw the Jets not follow it up. The Jaguars are still winless on the road. They're still playing very relatively uninspiring offense. The defense is just good against the run. But they're going to have a tough time here because the Colts, ever since they've really figured out this running game, have been pretty much a force on offense. And it's coincided with Wentz playing much, much better. He looks like a legit quarterback now with Jonathan Taylor behind him, probably going to lead the league in rushing when this is all said and done now that Henry's hurt. I really like what I'm seeing from the Colts offense. I still like them to be a wild card team when this is all said and done. I thought that they would be starting the season. They got off to a really tough start because they had a really brutal schedule. This is a team that they're going to beat at home. I'm pretty
and I know this experience from firsthand because, taking the Jets plus 10.5 at Indianapolis Thursday Night Football, coming off that big win with Mike White and everything. it did not pan out. So I'm thinking this is a similar result.
Yeah, I just would be really surprised if the Jags pulled off 2 big weeks in a row.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, right? Shame on me. That's kind of.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Colts. I might even take the Colts in Survivor Pool, which would be funny because I'm going against Shane's straight up pick. But I'm between Indy and Baltimore for Survivor Pool this week.
And then we have going into our next week, we've got a matchup of the NFC playoffs last year. The Bucs going to Washington to face the football team. Ken, do you think Tom Brady annihilates the football team this week?
I do, yes. Opposing quarterbacks have a quarterback rating of 107.6 against Washington. I believe that's worst, if not second worst in the league. They are really, really bad in the secondary. Disastrously bad. I know they're coming off a bye, but are they coming off a bye? Tampa's coming off a bye, so they're going to be
both teams are coming off a bye.
Yeah, but Tampa's going to be ready to go. That's right. I forgot Washington was too. But this is, man, Brady gets 2 weeks to prepare for a team. I know they're on the road, but the secondary has just been an absolute sieve. This is a pretty comfortable Tampa pick for me. That's for sure.
Andy, where are you on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I just continue to look at this Washington defense and just think, what the hell? What we saw last year compared to what we're seeing this year, 28th in scoring defense this year. Just not going to get it done against the Tom Brady team. We saw this as a playoff matchup recently, and, Washington held their own. I mean, they did lose the game, but their defense was competitive, and Heineke was competitive. I just don't see that happening this go around. I think Tom Brady comes in and continues their strong momentum into the second half of the season off the bye.
Yeah, it's a complete letdown of the defensive line. I think that's where it starts with the football team's defense. Is their defensive line is just trash. They can't get sacks. They can't get QB pressures, which then leaves the secondary looking bad. So it's just like it just starts with the defensive line. I'm going to take the Bucs. I think Brady torches them. I think Brady. This is a really easy 350 and 4 touchdown game for Brady. I think. This is going to be vintage Brady. Give me the Bucs, which brings us into Brady's old team. The Browns are traveling to New England to face the Pats. Ken, I'll start with you because you're the Pats guy. I'm a Pats guy. The Patriots have really played up to competition this year, and I don't think it'll be any different. Do you think Mac Jones will beat Baker?
Mac has been a little slippery the last 2 weeks, which has coincided with 2 wins, so it is interesting to think about. This is kind of what we expected to see. The optimistic Patriots fans kind of going into the year expected the Patriots to win games with mediocre quarterback play. That's what they've been doing. But if they can get good quarterback play, the sky's the limit. This game does worry me a little bit because they have struggled against teams with top 10 rushing offenses, that being Dallas and New Orleans. But at the same time, New Orleans has looked good on the road. Dallas is an elite team, as we know. I think the difference maker for this, and while I was ready to pick the Browns because of their prolific rushing attack, which the Patriots do tend to struggle with, the reason I'm going to pivot to the Patriots is because I'm going to bank on this positive COVID test from Nick Chubb rearing its ugly head. If they don't have Nick Chubb, they're not going to have this top 10 rushing attack. I know they're going to have D'Ernest Johnson, but they really kind of what the Browns do is they mix and match their backs. They usually like a two-headed monster, if you will, in the running back position. Keeps guys fresh. They're very dedicated to it. And frankly, we haven't seen enough progression from Baker yet. I know he's been hurt, and I just think we're seeing a more complete team in New England. I think both of these teams being sort of right around 500 shows that they're pretty relatively even, but Cleveland was supposed to be way above 500. So I think they're kind of underperforming at this point. They look different against the Bengals, but now they're going to New England, tough place to play, really superior, top-notch defense the Patriots have played lately. Plus Nick Chubb testing positive for COVID. Another running back, Demetric Felton, testing positive for COVID. So they could be short-staffed depending on how this goes. I think I'm gonna stick with my Patriots.
Yeah, I'm taking the Pats here too. I love Baker, but I just don't think without Chubb, I think this team is going to be rough against New England.
Now, yeah, so I should say Chubb is vaccinated, so he just needs to test negative later in the week. But I don't know, maybe we've seen plenty of breakthrough cases before, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Andy, both Ken and I are on the Pats. Are you leaning that way too?
It's gonna be a clean sweep. Yeah, I'm on New England also. I hate to say it, but I get more and more impressed with them every single week. And it's not just because of Mac Jones. It's, their running game. Stevenson played pretty well over the weekend. Had a big run. I do want to see Myers score a touchdown. I just want to see him end that drought. It's bugging me, to be honest with you. Jacoby Myers. I want him.
Oh, Myers, right? Touchdown.
It seems like they throw it to everybody but him. But no, I love their defense. J.C. Jackson was amazing for me in our dynasty. Shane and I's dynasty league with our individual defensive players. J.C. Jackson's on my team and had, I think, 2 pick sixes, or was it 1 pick six and a second interception? He was
1 pick six and a second interception.
Yeah, so he's been unbelievable for the Patriots in their secondary, and Judon has been great for them as well. So I really like how they're playing. This is an actual Patriots team that's kind of likable, and I hate to say it, but they're playing really, really well, and I see that continuing. And even with Nick Chubb, I think that the Patriots can neutralize that running game, and Baker really loves throwing it down the field. I don't think they can do that against this Pats team. So I think they're going to have some troubles consistently trying to generate some offense and some points, especially if they can neutralize that running game. So I'm going with the Pats. I know you enjoy it.
I like it.
I know you enjoy it.
Andy's becoming a Pats fan. This is good stuff. Moving into our next week. This is an interesting matchup. The Falcons going to Dallas. Dallas coming off a terrible loss. Matt Ryan's actually played really good. I've been super impressed with Matt Ryan this year with the amount of shit that the Falcons have gone through, losing Calvin Ridley, losing Julio Jones. Kyle Pitts has really stepped up. As of late, he's looked good. Russell Gage, Cordero Patterson drank from the fountain of youth. This is a game that could be interesting. I think Dallas wins personally. That's what I'm going with. I'm going to ride Dallas. I'll stick with them. Andy, where are you on this game?
Similar to Buffalo, I think it's a get-right game for them. The only difference is that Dallas just got slaughtered at home. It's not like it was one of those one-off road games that can happen from time to time, like the Bills going to Jacksonville. Dallas just got slaughtered at home, and really nobody saw that coming. But I will say this: Atlanta's defense is not like Denver's. So Denver's defense is very well quality defense, and I think we were reminded of that, especially without Von Miller, going to LA. So Atlanta's defense is not like Denver's. So I expect a get-right performance from that offense, and therefore their defense will fall in line as well.
Yeah, I agree. Well said, Andy. I don't think Atlanta's sneaking up on anybody anymore. They have played very well. Ryan has played admirably. They don't look as bad as what you would think. However, I do think Dak will be sharper in this second game back from the calf injury. But I do like Atlanta to keep this interesting. I like Dallas maybe by about a touchdown, which I could see. You remember? I think it was last year that they played, and it was like 50-49 or something.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. It was something like that. I remember they won by 1 point, and it was like a complete shootout.
Dallas came back and had a couple onside kicks in that game. Actually,
So I'm hoping that we get a repeat of that. That would be very entertaining. This might be on Fox, I think, at 1. So regardless, though, I do like Dallas to pull this one out. I just think they are by far the more complete team.
No, that definitely makes sense. So we're all on the Cowboys. That brings us into our next week. Panthers going to Arizona. I expect Kyler to be back. I think DeAndre Hopkins will be back too. So the Cardinals will be at full strength. I'm going to take the Cardinals. I think that's a pretty easy pick this week. Ken, I imagine you're pretty much the same on this one.
Yep, the Panthers are a mess. Sam Darnold's not going to play. I think he's going to be out multiple
Might be a
weeks
good
now.
thing for them.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know if PJ
And
Walker,
I hate to say that.
PJ Walker, I don't know, man. Even if Kyler doesn't play, they proved what they can do without him, which was very surprising to me because to start the season, I was pretty critical on the rest of the Cardinals, saying that, they needed like backyard football Kyler Murray to win games. Showed that they didn't need backyard football Kyler Murray yesterday. Sunday. Also interesting to note, Chase Edmonds won't be playing. He'll be out for a little while. And separate conversation, but watch if Eno Benjamin does well. Because if he does, it goes to show that running backs really don't matter. And that's going to sound harsh, but Eno Benjamin was an inactive scratch the entire last year. And then up until 2 weeks ago was an inactive scratch every game this year. So if he comes out and he plays well, it's just going to be weird to me.
I do have an interjection there. Can you believe how well John Connor's playing James Connor's playing since going over from Pittsburgh to Arizona?
He's been a little plotty. He's been a little plotty to this point, where he's kind of just getting the 1-yard touchdown runs, but he has started to look much better recently.
I'm
with
very
that said,
happy
I'm going to
for
take the
Connor.
Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean, I have him in our big 16-team dynasty league. Signed him to a 1-year deal. I think it was like $8 or $9 million too. And it's been a beautiful signing for me, especially losing David Montgomery. Now I have David Montgomery back, so I feel like my team's even stronger now. But nonetheless, yeah, he's been amazing. I think he's got 10 or 11 touchdowns on the season, and I'll take James Conner getting even more touches and more opportunities to score over the next 3 weeks or so while Chase Edmonds is on the mend. Even though one of my other leagues I do have Chase Edmonds, but that's okay.
So you're going Cardinals here, right, Andy?
I'm going Cardinals. Yeah, I mean, it was really impressive what they did without Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins. I think they just completely revamped their game plan and centered it around James Conner, and that was the right thing to do.
All right, so that'll bring us into our next game, which is the Vikings at the Chargers. This year, the Vikings have been interesting. They've been playing up to competition, but just can't finish out and get the W. I think the Vikings team's a lot better than people give them credit for, a lot better than their record shows. They're just not able to finish games. That being said, I'm taking the Chargers. I think Herbert, Eckler, all of them are going to figure it out. This is another kind of, I wouldn't want to say get right spot because I think the Chargers won last week. But I think it's a really good game for Justin Herbert to show his stuff and show that he really is an elite quarterback in the NFL. And I think he does it. I think Mike Williams gets back on track this week. So, yeah, give me the Chargers here. Andy, what are you thinking?
Yeah, this one's actually tough for me. For anybody who's listened to the podcast throughout the season knows that I have been riding the Chargers pretty much every week in the pick'em, but they've let me down a couple weeks. I mean, they did, obviously they did do well and win against the Eagles last weekend, but that was close even. So this Vikings team, I keep thinking of Dalvin Cook. I keep thinking of Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. And I just think, man, they could come in and really just throw a wrench into the Chargers season. And then I think, well, here you go. The Chargers are at home. This is a perfect spot. This is tough for me because I've been with the Chargers all year, and I want to pick them. But this is where I switch it up a little bit halfway through the season and think This is a Kirk Cousins game. This is a Dalvin Cook game. This is a Justin Jefferson game. And I think maybe Minnesota's defense can rise to the occasion. I'm going to go with Minnesota here. I'm going to go a little different and pick the Vikings because I really, really like their offense. And if they can just make a couple plays defensively to finish it off, I think they could pull off the upset. And the Chargers love to play these close games no matter what. Every time I think that there's going to be a blowout and the Chargers are going to win big at home, it never happens. So I'm going to go with Minnesota here, change things up a little bit.
Ken, where are you on this one?
So I am going to take the Chargers, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be very close. I think it's going to be within a field goal. And the reason I made the assumption that it's going to be a field goal game before I picked my team. When I made the decision that this game was going to be a field goal is when I decided to go with the Chargers. Every Vikings loss has been by one score, which to me, they kind of remind me of the old Chargers, who just found ways to lose. Played well, played admirably, played strong, showed guts, showed that they were better than their record indicated, but ultimately would kind of lose the game. And I think that that's going to be a very frustrating trend for Vikings fans. That's going to continue this week. They'll play really hard. They'll play strong. And I think Herbert will kind of have this could be like a game-winning Herbert drive where he gets them into position for a game-winning field goal or something. That's kind of how I see this one ending. So I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
I like that pick. All right, so we got the 2 Chargers and 1 Viking. Which brings us into our next week. We got the Seahawks going to Green Bay. It's going to be the Aaron Rodgers-less Green Bay Packers, so Jordan Love again.
Is that confirmed?
No, that's not confirmed yet, Shane. I mean,
we don't know what the matchup's going to be yet. It could be
know.
Rodgers and Wilson. It could be Love and Gino.
I think Rodgers is out another week.
No, I mean he can come back by Saturday, Shane.
I'm thinking Rodgers is going to be out. I think it's going to be Jordan Love.
He sucks.
He does suck. And I'm going to pick accordingly. I'm going to pick because I'm not going to be caught with my pants down when Jordan Love gets named the starting quarterback for this week. And Andy's sitting there with his dick in his hand having to hope Jordan Love wins his game for him. So give me the Seahawks.
He does suck.
Ken, where are you on this one?
I'm actually going to pick suckbag Jordan Love because I do think the Packers are going to win this one at home at Lambeau. I know the Seahawks just had a bye week, but they suck in Lambeau. I think they've lost like 10 in a row there or something like that. I do expect Jordan Love will play better this week as much as I'm making fun of him. I do think he'll play better. He didn't have a lot of time to prepare because his douchebag starting quarterback decided to lie to everybody and make actually a victory lap, by the way, for me, for Kembo J. Slice. Big victory lap for the Aaron Rodgers is a douchebag campaign. I'm taking a big victory lap. He's a douchebag. Anyway, I think Jordan Love is going to play better because he's going to have more time to prepare. He'll have a full week taking first-team reps. And still, Aaron Rodgers might play. Russell Wilson might play. I don't know. This is kind of a crapshoot, to be honest with you, just because we don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be. So I'm going to go with the home team, team that's played a little bit better, a little bit more polished. I do think Jordan Love's going to play better this week if he is named the starter. But again, Aaron Rodgers is such a prick.
Where are you going on this, Andy? I'm sure you're picking the Packers.
Bold prediction, Aaron Rodgers plays. Packers get the victory.
If Aaron Rodgers plays, the Packers will win no matter who Seattle has at quarterback.
That's fair.
Packers.
All right. Going into our next game, which is our last 4 o'clock game, Eagles at Broncos. Broncos really showed some heart against Dallas. Showed their defense doesn't need Von Miller. They look good. They did lose Patrick Surtain, though, which is a huge loss. And they lost him for multiple weeks to a knee injury. So I'm going to take the Eagles, knowing that they're not going to have one of their top DBs. Ken, where are you on this one?
Wait, what game are we on?
Eagles-Broncos.
Oh, Eagles-Broncos. Oh, I was on the wrong. Okay. God. I know. I hate picking the Eagles. I hate the way their offense runs. I hate the way they play. I just think it stinks. It looks like it stinks. It stinks out loud. This is a tough game to pick. But I think one thing I've noticed, the Eagles played better on the road, I think. And Denver kind of, I'm giving Denver the Jacksonville treatment this week, where that was such a great game, such a great performance against Dallas that they'll revert back to the mean a little bit this week, I think. I would not be the least bit surprised to see Denver win this game, but I think I am going to pick the Eagles. I don't know why, but I am. Screw it. I'm going to pick the Eagles. I feel dirty about it, though.
Andy, where are you on this one?
I can tell you why that the Eagles are at least pickable again and pick them. Well, the Eagles, right in the last 3 games, are second in the league in rushing. Who would have thought that?
Jordan Howard.
when they weren't even giving their running backs one attempt, let alone, being second in the league in rushing. So I think they've really fine-tuned their game plan, and it's helping out Jalen Hurts. It's helping out the balance in their offense. And Denver, while 6th overall in stopping the run, they haven't been doing as well lately. In the last 3 games, Denver is giving up 124 rushing yards a game to their opponent. So I would like to see the Philadelphia Eagles run the ball a little bit more on offense, which sets up some Jalen Hurts play action, bootleg, scrambling, lets him make some plays, opens up the secondary for him for Devontae Smith. I really like how they played. Hopefully they continue to do that. And I think that Philadelphia goes in and surprises people similar to what Denver did at Dallas last week. And Philadelphia is going to get the victory.
Also, before we move on, we have to give credit to Jordan Howard, or I want to give credit to Jordan Howard, because he's a guy who gets forgotten every year. He never gets a contract. He never gets an opportunity sort of on opening day. And then there's always a time in the midseason where he gets activated and he provides a level of grit, a level of efficiency. He's a hard runner. He fights for his yardage. And look, he has stimulated this entire Eagles running game just because of I think what he brings to the table. So can we let this guy make an opening day active roster and get some carries week 1? Because this is like 3 or 4 years in a row ever since the Bears gave up on him that he comes out and he performs. And usually it's I think the last couple have been with the Eagles, but I just like what he brings.
Yeah, he's a good back.
I think there's worse running backs out there, which is weird to me.
This brings us into our Sunday night game, Chiefs at Raiders. I don't know where this is going to go because the Chiefs have played so fucking bad. Andy, I'll let you start this one. I have no idea where I'm leaning yet.
I don't have no idea where I'm going either. Neither do I, motherfucker. I have no idea where I'm going.
Yeah, I have no idea either, actually.
Man. I want to say the Raiders, but, they're coming off a loss at the Giants where, they should have won that game. They kind of made some bonehead mistakes in the second half, including a pick 6 by Derek Carr to begin the second half. That really kind of changed the momentum of the game entirely. I would like to say that the Raiders establish their offense, their ground game with Jacobs and Richard and Alton, and then Derek Carr doesn't make as many mistakes throwing the football, finds Zay Jones or finds Edwards and Renfro and Waller. I don't think the Chiefs can stop Waller, to be honest with you. I don't know if the Raiders can stop Travis Kelce, but I think the Chiefs can stop Travis Kelce with how bad they've been offensively as of late. So for me, I'm gonna go with the Raiders.
I like it. Ken, what are you thinking here? Do you think the Chiefs can win this, or?
I do think they can. And they're on the road. man, I just don't know what to think about them. They're not even Jekyll and Hyde. They're mostly just all shitty. They played really bad. They got lucky. If Aaron Rodgers was playing, I do think that they probably would have blown the doors off of the Chiefs. But it's just been such an up and down season for both teams, and I think the Raiders have been commendable for how they've played given all the struggles and hardships they've gone through. I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna pick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and when they lose this game, I'll never have to pick them again.
Yeah. Oh God. I'm gonna go Raiders here. I think I don't know what I think. I'm hoping that Mahomes still sucks. Can't figure it out. The Raiders do have a solid D. I think they'll figure it out. We'll go Raiders here. Fuck it. Try and catch a game on Ken. Which brings us into our Monday night game, which is interesting. It's the Rams at the Niners. All on social media, I've seen Niner fans clamoring for Kyle Shanahan to get fired because this offense looks uninspired.
You should be.
They're losing games they should win. They're super pissed that they lost to Colt McCoy.
-9 turnover ratio.
Yeah. I'm going to go Rams here. This is a pretty easy pick, I think.
I think the Rams are going to win this game by a lot. I think it's going to be ugly. -9 turnover ratio, and you add Von Miller, they are going to force Jimmy into some bad spots. The Rams might score more points than Garoppolo. The Rams defense might score more points than Garoppolo does.
Andy, Ken and I are both on the Rams. I'm assuming you're the same, correct?
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those games where we see Los Angeles really reassert themselves and remind us that they are one of the best teams in the NFC West and the NFC entirely. I just think and Matthew Stafford figures it out. I think their defense comes to play. I mean, don't get me wrong. The 49ers, they have shown some life. They've inability with Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, but I just think that the Rams defense is going to be too much ultimately, and I think they win by at least 10. I think there's a opportunity for them to win by double digits.
I think people are giving the 49ers too much of a chance based off of what they watched on Sunday Night Football last week. I mean, the Titans are the best team in the AFC right now, and the other team that Stafford and company has lost to is Kyler Murray. So they are legit. The Niners are not.
Yeah, I think the Rams handle this pretty easily. That's what we got for tonight. Real quick, just to update everyone, Giannis did hit. I cashed on that. I did say that. Through the first half in the Hawks game, Trae Young is 15-6. He needs 4 more assists in the second half to cash that one. And I took a live bet while Ken was talking about the Rams. I took the money line on Kentucky. They're hanging with Duke right now.
Oh, come on!
I am, but I think Kentucky can win this.
I love KU. You're UK. I'm sorry, UK.
So I took Kentucky money line.
Your Duke cred is over. I'm sorry.
That's great.
What'd you say, Andy?
I said your Duke cred is over. I'm sorry.
That is great.
I'm up right now.
Disappointed.
If the Trae bet hits, I'm up 4 units. So I figured I could take 1 unit and put it on Kentucky, see what happens.
Can I just wrap up? We talked about Jay Cutler during the portion of the program where I mentioned that the Bears have never had a 4,000 yard passer. Jay Cutler, in 12 years in the NFL, has only had one 4,000-yard season.
It's a different league, man.
I know. I'm just saying.
That's the only because I'm saying that because like we all remember Cutler as a gunslinger, but he clearly isn't a gunslinger in today's NFL. You know what I mean? It's just
4,526 yards in the 2008 season. His last.
So we remember Cutler as like this great quarterback. But I think if Cutler came out, within the last 2 years, he's Sam Darnold. In my opinion.
You don't think? I think he could be like a
Jared Goff.
He's like a bad quarterback who pads stats.
Yeah.
So
Jared
I think he's
Goff.
more of a Sam Darnold, or he's not the quarterback that we thought he was when we were kids.
Well, when we were kids, we thought he was like Drew Brees.
Yeah. Well, we thought Vince Young was the best. I mean, all of us probably saw the Texas USC national championship game and thought Vince Young was fucking Superman. He was Cam Newton before Cam Newton.
Yeah, maybe you can compare Cutler to Romo. Neither one really wowed us.
Well, Romo is like gaining value because of his football gig. I mean, he's one of the best announcers in the league right now.
I know he's getting a little too comfortable in the role, so he's starting to get annoying to me.
Like Chris Collinsworth.
Yeah.
3,800 yards for Jay Cutler was the closest that he had gotten to 4,000 for the Bears. That was in 2014. So I thought that was a really interesting stat today as we're talking about Justin Fields and how he could be the quarterback of the future, and more than likely he is. He's eventually, you would think, going to eclipse a 4,000-yard season, but the Bears have never had one. So Justin Fields could be the first one.
But that'll wrap us up for tonight, guys. Ken, tell us where we can find you.
There I am at EC Breaking Co. That is the hobby account. You could also just follow my personal account at Kembo J Slice if you wanted to, but either will be more than sufficient. Follow them both. I would love to if you would follow them both. I appreciate it. EC Breaking Co. passed 1,000 followers. Good to see. Good to see. Personal account is sputtering around 300, so show some love.
Absolutely. Andy, where can we find you?
At Viggy Bets on Twitter, we are continuing our slew of college basketball and NBA plays throughout the course of the week, so stay with us there. Currently Duke -1. Duke's up by 3. Cleveland State plus 15.5. That game just started, so kind of early there. And then the Clippers game in the first quarter against Portland. Clippers were up by 10. Now all of a sudden it's tied, but I have faith in the Clippers to get it done. So at Viggy Bets for continued college basketball and NBA plays.
Awesome. You can follow me at Ask Us Sports or at ask_Shane_27. My personal account just hit over 1,000. We're making our way towards 1,100. Hit me up. I'm dabbling in gambling now that it's legal in Florida and they've got an app. Maybe you'll see a Viggy Bets Ask Us Sports collaboration in the future. He probably wants to kill me right now because I took UK money line. We got that going. They're down by 3, as Andy said. And we've got Trae Young to get a double-double. And he's 15-6 at half, so it looks promising there. Just needs 4 more assists. Let's hope he gets that quick in the third so there's not much of a sweat. But otherwise, yeah, guys, great show. We'll see you next week. Super excited to see what else we got going on. Everyone have a good night.
So, you think you're untouchable? Word life. Dissipate the thugonomics. Dissipate the thugonomics. Word life. I'm untouchable, but I'm forcing you to feel me. Word life. Dissipate the thugonomics. Word life. I'm untouchable, but I'm forcing you to feel me. When the fighting was spitting, my discipline is unforgiving. Got you backing up in the defensive position. And ask you can anthem.